Well, hello everyone, welcome back. Today's video is an introduction to the topic of insurance. Now, this may not seem very exciting, but insurance is actually a pretty important um, financial product that you can purchase that really is designed to protect you against really things that you never anticipate. Um, and to kind of get started, just be aware that there are many types of insurance. Far more than what we're going to go into, certainly in this video. You can buy insurance for almost anything you can think of. But insurance really comes in two main categories. The first category is individual insurance, and the second category is business insurance. And the second category, which we're going to talk about in another video, really is insurance that you would purchase if you own a business that is important and sometimes required for that business to have. So, however, what we're going to talk about today is the individual insurance. Okay, so let's just imagine that you are here in the middle. Okay, this is you, and it's time for you to, you're no longer at home and you're out on your own, and it's time to purchase some insurance. And some of these, again, are going to be required, and some of them are not required. And I'll explain some of those as we go along. But the first kind of insurance that you will probably come across is auto insurance. If you have a car of any sort, then you're going to be required to have auto insurance. The state where you live will have some minimums that you have to meet in terms of coverage. So the state will actually tell you how much insurance coverage they require at a minimum. You can always purchase more. And the idea behind auto insurance, of course, is to protect you against costs that occur if there is some sort of an accident in most cases. Now, auto insurance does do some other things too, but we're going to focus on the basics. So it's accident coverage. So if you are out driving and you end up driving straight through someone's front door, then your auto insurance policy will most likely cover the costs to repair that front door and any other damage that you've done. I'll come back over here for a second. I meant to mention one other thing. The insurance is really designed to protect you from great financial loss. And just imagine almost anything that you can, any situation that you can come up with where you might wish that you had insurance. A lot of times those circumstances can get pretty expensive. I mean, coming back over here to this auto accident, I mean, you might run into someone's house and cause, $25,000 in damage, maybe even a lot more. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of folks, especially younger folks, who don't have $25,000 in the bank that they could just use to pay for that damage. And so that's the point of really the core point of having insurance is to protect your assets and to protect you against great financial loss in case of an accident of some sort. Okay, so auto insurance is the first main type of insurance that you're going to come across at some point in your life. The next primary type of insurance is health insurance. And I bring these two up first because most folks, when they're young and just getting started, these are the first two types of insurances that they're most likely to come in contact with. And that's because, as soon as you're 16, if you're fortunate enough to have a vehicle, then you're going to come face to face with auto insurance. And so that's a great place to start. And health insurance is something that when you go to get a job, many employers, although it's getting more expensive for sure, and some employers are choosing not to cover it, but this is typically, not always, but typically provided by your employer. Now, in most cases, you will have to participate in the cost of that health care. So it's not it's probably not going to be free. Most employers share the expense of that health coverage with their employees. But the point here is that if you're working for a company that does offer health insurance, you don't have to go out and get it on your own. Auto insurance, you do. Auto insurance, you have to do yourself. You have to go find an automobile insurance policy yourself and purchase it. But with the health policy, typically it's provided by the employer, and so you don't have to go out and find that. Now, if you're self-employed or you're working for yourself, then you will have to go out and find it, and then you'll have to pay the entire cost of it. So that's a little bit different if you're out working for yourself. And again, health insurance coverage is designed, again, to protect you from great financial loss. We've talked about that over here, and again, it applies. And that would be if you have to go in for surgery, an emergency room visit, you fall off your mountain bike and you break a leg. All those things are typically covered by health insurance. And again, your obligation, so suppose that this same $25,000 was the cost of a surgery that you had to have. Well, instead of paying that full $25,000, you're only going to pay some of it. In a lot of cases, it's going to be a pretty small amount of money compared to what everything cost. So we're not going to talk in detail about some of those fancy terms that we'll talk about in a specific video on health insurance, but just it's good enough here for me to let you know that you're not going to pay that full $25,000 in most cases, that the health policy will cover a great deal of that. Okay. Well, the next kind of policy that you may come across, particularly as you get a little bit older, is homeowners insurance. And even if you don't own a home, I'll just throw this in here in this category, you might come across renter's insurance. And this type of insurance is purchased when you either own a home or are renting an apartment or something like that. And again, the idea is to protect you from financial loss in case of some sort of an accident. So a homeowner's insurance policy will cover things like if you have some wind damage, like let's say the wind comes up and blows a window out, if your policy covers wind, it'll cover that. Let's say that someone breaks into your home and steals something out of your home. A lot of policies will cover theft of property that's inside your house. Fire, if your house burns down, the policy will kick in and help you rebuild. And you can see, when you start thinking about things like a fire that would destroy your entire house, this $25,000 example suddenly becomes, a whole lot higher. Maybe your house was worth $400,000, or that's what it's going to take to rebuild it. If you don't have $400,000 in the bank, you're certainly going to be happy that you had some insurance coverage. Okay, we're going to keep going here so that we don't run out of time. We'll finish our little map, and then we'll have some additional videos on each of these. The next type of policy that you're going to come out and purchase on your own is a life insurance policy. Now, this is a good time for me to go back and let's use red here. So automobile insurance is, I'm going to just put X's next to the ones that are required. Okay. And when I say required by someone else, in this case, this is required by the state. Here, homeowners insurance, if you take out a loan to purchase your house, the lender, the bank, is going to require you to have some homeowners insurance. But let's see, I'm just going to use blue here. We'll do a blue asterisk to say not required. Health insurance is not required. In most cases, you're never required to have health coverage. Now, there are some new federal rules that may change some of that, but let's put those aside for just a minute because that gets a little bit more complicated. Life insurance you're not required to have in most cases. Now, there are some circumstances where some third party may require you to purchase some life insurance, but in most cases, life insurance is not required for you to purchase. But this is really, this just pays dollars when you die. Now, what's the point of that? Well, the point of it is if you have people who depend on you, let's say you have a spouse or kids, who depend on your income, suppose you make $30,000 a year, and they use that to live, to buy groceries and everything else. If you die and that $30,000 goes away, one of the points, one of the purposes of life insurance, is to pay those dependents the value of the life insurance policy to make up for that $30,000 that they've lost. Okay. Now don't get too confused, and like I said, we're going to go through this in more detail later. And there's one more type of insurance that I wanted to bring up, and then we'll have to cut it off here, but you may have heard of something called workers' compensation. Now again, much like health insurance, workers' compensation insurance is typically provided, well, in this case, workers' compensation insurance is always provided by an employer. And this is insurance coverage that your employer is required to actually have. So you won't purchase workers' compensation insurance, your employer will purchase it, but it's designed to cover accidents that happen while you're working. So if you break a leg while you're working, instead of your health policy or your health insurance picking up the cost of that, oftentimes the workers' compensation policy will pay for the cost of that. So, okay, well, I'm running out of time, but I wanted to give you a little diagram here of some of the main kinds of insurance that are out there. And keep your eyes open. We'll have separate videos on each of these: health, auto, homeowners, life insurance, workers' comp, and then several other types that we didn't even get a chance to talk about here. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.